Let's first go across to visuals that are just about coming in. You have Justin Trudeau, the Prime Minister of Canada, arrive in India. Now, I'm not very sure if there is a bilateral planned between Prime Minister Trudeau and Prime Minister Narendra Modi. So far, there's been no talk of it, but that's Mr. Trudeau looking dapper as ever, many would say, shaking hands with the Canadian ambassador here in India. He's accompanied, by the looks of it, by his young son as well. He's, of course, this is not his first visit to India. He's come here with family when the children were a little smaller. Just been through a divorce, so his entire family, his wife, etc., not accompanying him. But there you have it. That was. Let's just quickly go back to the pictures if we can. That's Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau touchdown in New Delhi. These are live shots that are coming to us. Justin Trudeau touchdown in New Delhi at the New Delhi International Airport. Just about making his way out, accompanied there, as I'm saying, and I'm seeing by his young son, Mr. Chandrasekhar there with him as well. There they are, posing for a photo op, post which they'll be on their way to their hotel. Tomorrow, of course, is the big day. The big summits are going to be held tomorrow. But today, all eyes on not Mr. Trudeau, but on his neighbor, which is President Joe Biden, who arrived a little earlier today. He's already reached 7 Lok Kalnyal Marg, which is Prime Minister Narendra Modi's residence, for that very important bilateral. In fact, as we are speaking, that bilateral will be getting ready. But there you have it, Justin Trudeau. Just soaking in the sights and sounds of India. There's a little cultural program that the Ministry of Affairs and Ministry of Culture have organized for all visiting dignitaries, for all heads of states, just for them to get a slice of life, as it were, of India, because the next 2 days, we know they won't have too much time. They'll be at the Bharat Mandapam, which is looking stunning at this point of time. But that's where they will be spending most of their time. I don't think many of them will get too much time to step out of Bharat Mandapam or their hotel and go for a sightseeing tour. But there you have it, Justin Trudeau getting into his car and now making his way to his hotel, accompanied there by his son, by his young son. Let me go straight across to Madhav, who is joining us on the broadcast as well. Madhav, you're joining us from the Bharat Mandapam. That actually is the epicenter, many people would say, of the G20 Summit, the main venue. We're just about seeing Justin Trudeau get into his car and leave the tarmac of the international airport here in Delhi. In fact, parking at the international airport will be a bit of an issue. 51 heads of states, 51 planes that have arrived here that require parking slots. But all of that, of course, is sorted out. Do we know if Justin Trudeau has a bilateral with the Prime Minister? I've not heard of it. I've not heard officially from the Canadians either.
Well, at the moment, in fact, waiting a formal announcement of the time, but certainly, of course, with this kind of a big event happening, 15 bilateral meetings at least have been scheduled, is what we understand, and a good chunk of them are expected to happen on Sunday. So would be not surprising if it actually takes place on that particular day. Of course, India has had, apart from several other issues with Canada, one of the issues has been, the kind of Khalistani statements of the extremists there in Canada and the kind of mainstream role that they've had. That's been an issue that India's had a lot of concerns about. Will that be taken up officially, bilaterally? That's something that we will have to watch out for. But yes, as you were just mentioning at the beginning, right behind me is the Bharat Mandapam, looking extremely grand, completely bathed in light, as you can see behind me. And that's going to be the big venue for tomorrow, where all the action is going to take place. Right behind me, if you can see this car park, that's where all the dignitaries' vehicles will be parked right behind me. And this is where the entire day of deliberations are expected to take place. In fact, virtually all the leaders have already arrived. Just a few of them, like for instance, French President Macron, expected to arrive in the day tomorrow, but will all be participating through the day's sessions, and in fact will also be joining in that official dinner that is to be hosted by the President right here at Bharat Mandapam, where several other dignitaries, including cabinet ministers and other prominent faces, are expected to be invited. So it's all in all going to be a packed day tomorrow. The Prime Minister already has been working in terms of the bilateral meetings. There's even as we speak an important meeting with the US President that should have begun by now because 7:45 was the official time. It should have begun, and of course after that is an official dinner, a private dinner with the US President and Prime Minister Modi that is expected to take place later as well, about 45 minutes later as well. So very, very packed day. In fact, we have seen bilateral meetings already taking place, whether it is Mauritius or Bangladesh as well, earlier on in the day today. And now all eyes on that particular bilateral meeting between the US President and Prime Minister Modi. What really is on the table? There's talk of more advancements in terms of a civil nuclear deal, in terms of arrangements, perhaps smaller scale nuclear plants, and also that all-important jet engine deal. Demands as far as visas are concerned has been a long pending issue as far as India is concerned. Some of the issues have been addressed time and again, but will there be some more movement now that President Biden is here in India? And remember, this is the second meeting taking place within a short span of just 3 months, something that normally, usually does not happen, but perhaps a sign of the growing ties between the two countries, whether we're talking about the United States and India, whether we're talking about the defense partnership, whether we're talking about a larger partnership in terms of exercises. We all know, and in fact you've covered them, how the Quad has had several defense exercises in the past. With all of this, with the signing of logistical agreements like Lemua, Komkasa, etc., the two countries coming together. But the big question is this, that when it comes to defense hardware, India still has a huge dependence on Russia. Will that change over a period of time? All of these visits and all of these ties and these agreements are aimed at actually changing that, because the United States certainly has articulated its position that it wants to see India participate much more with the United States, not just in defense, but even in technology, even the fact that you have a huge Indian population in the United States that are actually powering several of their large corporations. So all of these are factors that bring India and the United States together. So all eyes, I would say at the moment, are of course on tomorrow's events, but for the moment on that bilateral meeting and what comes out of it. Back to you.
All right, Madhav, as we speak, actually, my producers are telling me that Turkey's President Erdogan has landed in the national capital as well. Those are pictures. So this is the time for high-profile leaders to touch down on Delhi for the big G20 Summit tomorrow. As Madhav was pointing out, there are 15 bilaterals. So there's a good chance that there will be a bilateral with the Canadian Prime Minister, who is on your screens, and the Turkish President as well, who is being accompanied, and there you saw him on the right sides of your screens, by his wife. Again, as far as Canada is concerned, interesting timing, because right ahead of the G20 visit, Canada has actually paused trade talks with India. So it's interesting timing, as it were. India also has some concerns that it would want to raise with Canada, specifically the Khalistan issue and the free run that Khalistanis get on their soil. But what you're seeing on your screens, ladies and gentlemen, is the evening before the big summit. You have leaders on your screens right now from Canada and from Turkey arrive here in India. But for the moment, ladies and gentlemen, for the moment, as we see Mr. Erdogan being accompanied by his wife, Mr. Trudeau being accompanied by his son, for the moment, all